All right, all right, all right. Welcome to the second edition here of the Stanley Cup Playoff show right here on Variety Sports Network. With me tonight is Jimmy Pilato from Far End of the Bench. Jared will be with us in just a minute too. Um, we're super excited. My name is Brandon, and we're gonna get things rolling. We got tons of stuff coming at you today. We're gonna recap some of the games from yesterday. We're gonna talk about the Fogalino um, tripping call from yesterday, and some other things. So we'll see you in just a few minutes, or a few seconds, I guess.
You're listening to the Variety Sports Network, your home for the best sports podcasters and live shows.
I need to update that just a little bit. Might be a little, not necessarily outdated, but not out. It's there. It's there.
Yeah, well, ours is just like the same. It's this 8-second video. I just played it over twice in iMovie so that it fits our intro song. Your production value is way better than ours.
we try. We do what we can. Right here at the Variety Sports Network. It's nothing crazy. Everything's on Canva from Canva. So thank you, Canva. Thank you, StreamYard. Really quick. If it's the first time listening, watching, we appreciate it. Thank you for joining us. Make sure you go hit that little subscribe button, like, comment, whatever you want to do. Jimmy, Colorado Avalanche aren't looking too bad.
Yeah, they found themselves. I mean, we woke up. It's hard when you're playing against a team that just doesn't like they're good. Their depth is good, but when you're playing against a team that's just not quite on your level, it's hard to remember you have to play sometimes. Right. So game one, first period of game two, when Nico and I were both sitting there in stunned silence, a little bit rough, but we've turned it around. And I think it's still got the possibility to go 6, but I like that 5-game ending would be huge, especially with the way that Dallas and Minnesota are playing against each other.
Yeah, that's a very rough series so far. And I'm going to bring Jared in here so we can get his there he is. Welcome, Jared.
Hey, guys. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're fine.
As I talked about last week or on the last podcast, I've got a 39-week pregnant wife.
Yeah.
And she's also dealing with some sickness right now. So I'm trying to get through that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, glad to be here, guys. How y'all doing?
Not too bad.
Good. It's nice to meet you, man. I'm glad I'm able to come on, and we've been talking hockey on our show, but now I get to talk with the Variety Sports Network. So I'm glad to get back, and my team's relevant, so that's a good thing.
Right. Oh, okay.
What's your team?
Oh, that would be the defending Stanley Cup champions.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why Brandon is snickering, because he's like the Blues. Lost in the second round last year to the defending Stanley Cup champions.
At least we could say we lost to the Stanley Cup champions.
Yeah, I mean, you lifted that shirt up. I was like, man, does he realize that they don't have a team anymore?
Yeah, this guy is so confused. The Nordiques, they folded. No, we just moved a little bit further west.
Yeah.
Look, my team is the same way. They still love to wear the old jerseys, even though, I mean, hey, they're some of the nicest jerseys in the league. You can hang them up, though. Leave the Hartford shit in Hartford.
Yeah.
Hey, red and black. That's all we need.
I'm
so you're a
they
Canes
haven't.
guy.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
lifelong. Well, at least since I was 2. So
we don't have any beef then. At least not now. I hope we have beef later on in the playoffs. Let's put it
you
that
and me
way.
both. Hey,
that would be a fun Stanley Cup final.
I think that would be. I mean, you think back to what was it, 2019, when these two franchises started kind of this run that they're on, where now they're the 2 of the top 5 teams in the league.
Oh yeah,
over the last 5 years. Yeah, I mean, they were both in the wild card chaos squad. Remember when Columbus and Carolina? Who was it? Columbus, Carolina, Dallas, and Colorado.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that the same year that Svechnikov went on to fight Ovi in the next round and learned why that was a mistake?
Well, yeah. So Svech fought Ovi game 3 of the first round, missed the rest of that round of the playoffs. Hurricanes won game 7 in double overtime. Brock McGinn. So, yeah, I mean, then swept the Islanders and then proceeded to get swept by the Bruins. So,
yeah. Well, look at that. We got We got a tied Devils Rangers game now. We were just talking about the Devils the last episode we were on too, and we said that we figured that they were going to get swept with the way they're playing, and they come out and proved us absolutely wrong and beat the Rangers. And then it was like Lightning are up on the Toronto Maple Leafs 3-1 as well. What are your thoughts on those two games really quick?
I'd like to see the Devils make it a series. I'd like to see them get it. Make this series go at least 6 or 7, at least for my sake. I mean, for the Hurricanes' sake, I'd like to see that. Let these two teams beat the shit out of each other, and then at the end of the day, I mean, what happens happens. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that the Devils winning that game. I mean, they did it. I mean, they won 2-1 in overtime. They got to figure out the scoring. Seems like they kind of figured out the goaltending with Schmid, so we'll see what happens the rest of the series.
Yeah, it's tough when you can't. I mean, not putting up any goals. I think they said Shesterkin's given up 4 goals in 3 games, 5 goals now with the one that they scored. But like the Devils have never been offensive, but they don't normally give up 5 in back-to-back games. So getting that goaltending situation fixed, I expected them to be one of the tougher teams. Them and the Islanders both. They both have a very playoff style hockey where they just get a whole bunch of bodies in front of the net. Neither of them have really shown up that way, and they're struggling. Like I thought New York was going to take care of business in a sweep as well. I think that they still have the chance to go for 5 and kind of put the icing on the cake. But Jack Hughes, the more experience he gets, I saw his breakaway goal today was nasty, and that's on Igor Shesterkin, who's a top 5 goaltender in the world. So they have that deadly capability. It's just they're so young. Like the Devils this year are what the Rangers were last year. If the Rangers didn't get help in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, they're a first-round exit because of all their inexperience. But they went on, and now they're using that. I feel like they're the wily veterans in this matchup, and New Jersey's just trying to figure it out. And Jack Hughes is like, man, I want to go on a run. I'm not going to get anything else. I want to go on a little bit of a run now.
Well, you heard Brady Tkachuk's comments from Ottawa when their season ended before he wanted to, and he said, "I'm tired of not being in the playoffs." Basically, he said, "Yeah, I'm tired of this, tired of not being there." So I can see the same thing coming out of New Jersey if they get knocked out in the first round.
That's a proud fan base. I mean, they really love their team, but they just haven't been relevant for the last few years at least. They're good like historically, but it's tough. They're one of those up and down markets kind of.
Mm-hmm. They're either really good or they're really bad. Yeah. So like I said, we got some games going on right now, but let's talk about one thing really quick, and it's the officiating so far. Hasn't been the greatest. Hasn't been the greatest at all. And we kind of saw a little bit of glimpse of that last night. I'm gonna play this little clip here of the Dallas Stars Minnesota Wild game last night, and then we'll talk a little bit about things.
Well, take another look at this. Is Foligno looking to go right at him, and right there you can see coming up. And I think Foligno is going to get the trip on the call as he takes the stick up to the face there on that penalty here.
So they actually called a tripping penalty on Foligno for that play when they clearly it wasn't. I don't know.
You can't trip a guy after you get hit in the face, Brandon. It's in the rule book.
True. You're not wrong about that. But in my opinion, it could have easily been double minor where there was a tripping call and a high sticking call at the same time. It changed the game because that was at Dallas. Yeah. They ended up scoring on the power play to tie the game or win the game, one of the two. So just one of those things. There's some thoughts from Foligno really quick too.
Yeah. How frustrating. Yeah, it's a joke. It doesn't make any sense. I go to hit a guy, he touches the puck. It's not interference. I get high stick in the face. It's not a tripping call when you hit a guy clean on.
And did they give any further explanation?
No, arrogant.
Yeah. How do you avoid the shoulda, coulda, woulda? You guys, from the game 4s of the past last year, that's been a talking point. How do you avoid this being a turning point like it was last year? Just
character in the room and just.
The balls on that reporter. Last question was rough.
It was. How do you not let that?
How do you guys not blow it again this year?
Right. Jared, do you have any thoughts on that call?
Yeah, terrible call. I mean, And that wasn't the only one against Foligno in that game. I mean, there was another one where he went on and tried to make a hit. And, I mean, it was a clean hit, shoulder to shoulder, behind the crease. Puck was there. And you call a penalty?
Yeah.
Like, look, my team has been the beneficiary of some poor officiating this playoffs. But at the same time, my team in the past has gotten the raw end of the deal by poor officiating, and it's one of those things. I hate to say it. It's part of playoff hockey. Sometimes calls just don't go your way.
Right.
Now you when that happens, you've just got to kind of play through it. But Foligno has every right to be pissed off, and those were two of the more egregious penalties that I've seen called. I think some in the series, like the Hurricanes Islanders series, I know a lot of Islanders fans, just because I'm so close to it, are talking a bunch of crap. Like, hey, we're getting the raw end of the deal.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, it's happening. We saw it in the LA game last night too. I mean, penalties are being called. I mean, you could talk about the Boston scoring the goal when the puck was under the Lions pads or Bobrovsky's pads, and then in the night before, the referees disallowed a goal for Tampa on the same thing. I mean, all we're asking for is some consistency in the league, and I mean, I think that's rightfully so that we're asking for that. But at this point of the day, like, we're just not getting it, I mean, one call can be called one way. I mean, the Hurricanes took a slash last night, slashing penalty. The same penalty that wasn't called that ended up breaking Teuvo Teravainen's hand.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at the same, like, come on. If you're going to call it one way, call it the other way. That's why I don't understand why the NHL does this. Use the same referees, assign referees to that series, kind of like Major League Baseball does. Yeah. You assign an umpiring crew to this series, and they're the officials for the entire series.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like, I don't understand why the NHL doesn't do that. Instead of having these guys travel all over the place. I mean, Wes McCauley was he called Toronto, Tampa Bay. He's calling Hurricanes, Islanders. I mean, assign these guys to one series, right, and then let them go. I mean, that way they can police the game the way that they see fit, right? Because we know that that's what they're doing. They're doing what's called game management, and you can't have that. Like, you can't have one guy calling it one way one night and then a completely different officiating crew the next night, and it's like, all right, nobody knows what's a penalty and what's not.
Right. Yeah. When I think of bad calls, I mean, I think obviously the couple years back with the Blues and Sharks is the hand pass, the hand pass play that ultimately could have turned the series for the Sharks. It didn't. Luckily for the Blues, it didn't. But you look at a play like that or a penalty call that ends up tying a series, and everything, that it makes it's a bigger deal than it is. It's not a bigger deal than it is. It is a big deal, is what I mean. It's a very important thing for these players to get where they're at now, but to be to lose a series because of bad officiating. It's not something they want. It's my thought.
I wouldn't say that cost them the game, though. I mean, they had chances. Yeah. Oettinger kind of stole that game for Dallas more so than Minnesota really lost it. And I feel bad for a guy like Foligno because he's playing the game the right way. He's an assistant captain. I don't think that Minnesota's as skilled as Dallas, so they're having to play a very physical, grinded out game, and they've done that so far. Like I said on our show yesterday, which everyone can go, it's at FEOTV Pod. I haven't mentioned that yet, so I got to get my plug in. But I said that they're so much more physical. I'm afraid to play Minnesota in the second round, not because they might beat the Avalanche, but just who are they going to take out? And on that play too, that could have been a major high stick because Foligno was busted up and bleeding. So maybe it's a minor and a major, but there should have been something on both sides. At this point in the playoffs, you want the referees to be looking like even Stevens. I don't want to give a power play because then you have situations like last year. I think the Avs had a 5-on-3 against Nashville in the first round series. We don't want to look for that. Let's try and find something to even it up, or just don't call anything. I mean, the Stanley Cup winning goal last year was on a play where you could have called a hooking penalty in the defensive zone before they got that breakout pass. So there's a lot. Like, it seems the further you go into the playoffs, it's a little bit more uniform. But right now, it's just a gong show. Like, everybody is different. Everybody's calling different things. Toronto, I was listening to the Toronto radio broadcast during Game 1, and they were bitching like, "Oh, well, we're going to get a makeup. We're going to get one back. We're going to make it even." Never did. If you don't want to quit giving up power, if you want to quit giving up power plays, stop breaking the rules. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, I mean, watching the game yesterday, Hurricanes Islanders. I mean, you've seen it now twice. So Kachuk yesterday got a penalty for cross-checking. Who did he cross-check? Was it Orlov that he cross-checked?
It was Krejci, I think. Because isn't Krejci out now?
I don't know who it was, but he ended up getting a $5,000 fine today from the Department of Player Safety. Correct. That same thing has happened twice in this Hurricanes Islanders series with Matt Martin at the end of a period. Game 1 against Jordan Stahl did the same thing, cross-checked him in the back. Puck wasn't even there. He got a 2-minute penalty for interference. After cross-checking him in the back and sitting on him, right? And then same thing yesterday, does the same thing. That's what in the first round of the playoffs, these first rounds, when you have these teams that honestly can't compete, they get physical, and then they basically try to go after these guys. They go headhunting because they try to even the series for themselves. I mean, I'm sorry, that's what it is. I mean, Matt Martin wouldn't have a job if it wasn't for that's how he plays.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean,
Kyle
I'm
Clifford,
sorry.
Same way.
So I mean, and he did it. He did it yesterday against a guy. I think he did it against McEachern. We were talking last pod about St. Louis Blues on teams and
the majority of the playoff teams, and
then all of a sudden he shows up on the Canes. So he does it again, and it's like, okay, same penalty at the end of a period. The puck's not there, and you're cross-checking somebody in the back. One is a $5,000 fine, and one isn't even talked about at the league office.
Right.
Like, have some consistency.
It has to do with the name Kachuk. I guarantee that's probably. I mean, it's a guarantee that's what it is, but it's because
you can say it's a guarantee. I think Parros has basically said insofar, if you have any kind of reputation. I mean, that's why in 2019 or it was 2020 when Kadri had that hit on Falk, he was suspended for a long, 8 games because he's already been suspended for it in the same situation. Parros doesn't like to do anything for his job. He doesn't like to earn his money. He just does whatever he's done before. And if it's not brought in front of him, he's apparently asleep and doesn't watch all the playoff games, because if he's not told directly about it, there's not going to be a hearing and there's not going to be any kind of penalty given down. I'm sure I couldn't do any better of a job as the head of the player safety, especially in the NHL where it's legally you can fight. It's good. Let's fight it out. It's better for the sport. But he really it's ridiculous. He's a big part of the reason, the referees not being consistent, but also George Parros being head of player safety and deciding, picking and choosing what he wants to go after. That's another issue. And I get reputation, but guys change. Nazem Kadri last year didn't get suspended at all. Right? It was very minimal. Played a totally different game. Not going to say he was up for the Lady Bing, but it's different. It starts from the top down, but also I feel like this has been one of the more successful playoffs in the last few years. This move to ESPN and TNT, and we all know about the cap situation. Maybe the NHL doesn't see a problem with this. Maybe this is a ploy tinfoil hat time. Maybe it's a ploy so that they can get more ratings because they're like, okay, how are the refs going to mess up this game?
Right. It's something to give something to talk about, kind of like what we just did.
Yeah.
It's given the attention to
we fell into the trap.
Yeah, we did. I know it was one thing I saw the first thing this morning. I was like, nope, we're not going to talk about it. We're not going to talk. We're not going to bring it up. But we have to.
You have to.
We have to.
But calls are going. I mean, it's not just one team getting screwed. Every team is getting screwed at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, Jimmy, I don't know about in your series, but I know in my series, like there's times where I'm like, oh, that was called a penalty in game 1 or game 2. But now that it happened to my team, it's not being called. Right. And it all goes back to we just want consistency.
Yeah.
If you're going to call it one way, one game, call it the same way the next game. Don't try to manage based on the game or by the series. Like if it's a penalty, call it a penalty. If it's not a penalty, let it go.
Right.
And I get it. There's times where the game's going so fast in the playoffs. I mean, game's going so fast. The environment is different with the noise and whatnot. But at the same time, you're paid to be a professional referee.
Right.
Yeah.
Call the penalty.
Yeah.
Do your job.
Do your job.
The players are good enough to decide the game themselves, and we don't need anybody's help.
Exactly.
Right. All right. We'll get off that hot topic and jump into games from yesterday. Jared, your Carolina Hurricanes had a stellar performance. Putting up 4 goals, not quickly, but it's a steady pace. Not saying that they were all great superstar plays, and most of them were New York turnovers. From the looks of it, what's your thoughts on how Carolina can go ahead and end things tomorrow night?
Yeah, I mean, come out and play the same way. Play heavy. I mean, the Hurricanes aren't a team that are going to be supremely physical, right? But what they do is they're heavy on the puck, right? Whoever's got the puck, they're heavy forechecking, heavy back checking. I mean, it's very rare that you see a team get an on-man rush on the Hurricanes because usually the Hurricanes their forwards are so good at back checking that they're getting 3 guys back there before a 2-on-1 develops or even a 2-on-2 develops. They're getting that pressure and they don't let up. They come in waves. Every line does the same thing. They take their man and they get heavy on the puck. They play a very solid puck possession game. And that's what the Hurricanes do. When they get away from that is when they have problems. Now, the problem with the Hurricanes is sometimes they don't get to the front of the net. They're so worried about keeping possession of the puck that they're not getting to some of those dirty areas. And I talked about this on the last pod. Sometimes they're not worried about getting to those dirty areas in front of the net. And what we saw yesterday on the first 2 power play goals, they got net front presence, and then they also got the puck to the net. I mean, the first one, rebound, Jarvis stuffs it in.
Right.
Next one, who was it? Natchez comes in, backdoor, one-timer, puck in the back of the net. That if they can keep that going, they'll be fine. Their power play is already doing better this year than it did last year in the playoffs. So yeah, I mean, in the penalty kill, the Islanders penalty or the power play isn't that great, but I mean they've allowed 1 power play goal, and I mean I think it's like 15 or 16 attempts. I mean, the power play percentage for the Islanders is less than 10% right now.
Yeah,
and so. And what we've seen is in this series, the team that scores a power play goal, the team that's won has scored a power play goal in every game this series.
Mm-hmm.
And I think special teams is really playing a big part of it.
Yeah.
As long as you can stay within your game, don't let some of the rough stuff get you out of your game. That was pretty much the message after the game yesterday was, hey, like they're going to come out there, they're going to be rough. They're going to try to draw us into penalties. We're not going to take the bait. We're going to keep the Hurricane hockey, and we're going to play. And if they do that, sooner or later, they're going to score on one of those power plays.
Right.
And that's what the Hurricanes are doing. They're saying, hey, if we're going to just play our game, And if they can do that, they come out tomorrow in the loudest house in the NHL. I have an idea that they'll be able to close it out. And I'm wearing my Key West. I went to Key West last summer. The Islanders will be heading down to another island and somewhere tropical very soon because I think this series is over tomorrow.
All right. I like it. I like the fiery side, but at the same time, New York's they're gonna come out with their backs against the wall, ready to go.
Nothing like a desperate team.
Yep, nothing like a desperate team. Those are always the fun ones to watch, and they become a very dangerous team if given the right opportunity. At the same time. So, Jimmy, you have any thoughts on this one?
I think the biggest thing for me is the last 2 seasons, Carolina can't win on the road in the playoffs. Being able to prove, like, going into UBS Arena, give them game 3 because they're excited to play in front of their home crowd. I think you can toss that one. Everybody has sometimes you get boat raced. That's just what happens. You kind of just got to weather the storm and come back. And that's what they did. So the 5-2 win on the road, it gives me the confidence to say Carolina won't need 7 games to be able to put this series away. I had faith in them getting past this round. I thought that they were a good team. It struggles. I don't know how you feel, Jared, but like the main thing that Nico and I have been talking about with Carolina, you thought you were going to have Pacioretty, Svechnikov, and Aho as your top line, or being able to move those guys throughout the lineup and giving yourself extra opportunities. And now you're having to switch. Like, it does scare me a little bit. Most of the time, to be able to win a cup, you have to have like a major offensive superstar. And I don't see one. I mean, Aho's great, but is he Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon going to take over the game and just go score a goal because he can at certain points? That's where I'm a little bit worried, but I think 5 games. I think that they'll take care of business, and winning on the road proved that a lot for me yesterday.
Since the team has moved to Carolina, the team has only ever had one 100-point scorer, and that was in the 05-06 season. Eric Stahl had over 100 points that season. Look, that's the thing with this Hurricanes team is a lot of teams you have. I mean, we can talk about Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl and Nathan McKinnon all day long, but when it comes to the rubber meeting the road, I mean, we almost were looking at Edmonton being down 3-1 last night.
Yeah.
I mean, after Draisaitl, Kane, and McDavid, the next highest point getter for the Oilers doesn't have more than 30 points.
Right.
Well, we're looking at Hurricanes players. I mean, they don't have a 100-point score, but they have guys. I mean, they have a bunch of guys in that 60-70 range, right? Yeah. I mean, they've got 2 defensemen that were pushing 20 goals this season. Mm-hmm. I mean, the Hurricanes have behind I think it was behind Kel McCarr and Carlson. They have like 2 of the top scorers on defense in the league. Mm-hmm. And Brady Shea and Brent Burns. And so when you have that and guys that can move the puck, I mean, I think you're okay because it's every single line can score. They're not always getting it done, but every line could score. Look, I was pushing very hard. I'm blocked by a lot of people on Kane's Twitter because I was saying, hey, we need to go get a guy. We look at the Islanders. They got a guy, Bo Horvat. Yeah, he got a goal in garbage time yesterday. I mean, it was louder in Vancouver last night than it was in UBS Arena. Okay. You look at the Devils, got a guy like Timo Meier. He's got what? One? Does he even have a point? No. But then you have you bring in a guy, Mackenzie McEachern, 2 points, first game. Right? So there's depth on this team. Plus, there's a bunch of black aces ready to come in. I think with Jack Drury out, I think he's going to be a game time decision. Look for Derek Stepan or Jamison Reese. Jamison Reese might make his NHL debut tomorrow, and he's going to be a firecracker. He brings a lot of good things. So, the depth is what I think is going to help the Hurricanes. Now, when you play the Rangers in the second round, that's always a tough series, but you took them to 7 last year. You still got home ice advantage. You take 1 at MSG, you win that series. I mean, the Hurricanes have lost one game at home in the playoffs in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
We talk about all the road issues. They don't have to play on. They don't have to be the road team, or they don't have a home ice advantage until the Eastern Conference Finals. So, or they'll have home ice advantage until then. So, I'm okay with that. They get amped up in PNC Arena, and I think they'll be all right.
No, I mean, take your weakness and make it your strength. Not having a superstar to rely on, you have to play a full team game, and you have the right coach to do that. I think Rod Bridmore, Jared Bednar, John Cooper, these are the next generation of great coaches that we're going to talk about in like the next 100 years with the Bowmans and those guys from the past. So I think they make it work, but that's just always in the back of your mind. It is how they've always done it. They're a little expansion team that could going from Connecticut down to Carolina and making it stick. People thought you couldn't have hockey down there, and they proved otherwise because they are one of the craziest home environments. I can say that for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely on my list to go.
Come on down. I'll take you. I will take you.
Jared, can you get Creed to perform at intermission? That's all I want. I know that Nashville did it first, but I feel like it'd be better in your arena.
It probably not Creed. I'm pretty sure we could probably get somebody going. I'm trying to think.
Darius Rucker.
Darius Rucker. Even Darius Rucker played. He's from South Carolina, but we'll let him have it. But Eric Church.
That's the only hockey. Eric Church. Okay. Yeah.
Eric Church is from North Carolina. As much as I hate him,
is it Luke Combs?
Yeah, but he sucks. I can't stand him. Yeah, his music's trash.
No.
And then, I mean, you got there's a bunch of bands from here, man. Like, and we talked about last time the Hurricanes Arena, PNC Arena. There's 11,000 seats in the lower bowl.
Yeah, which is crazy.
It's insanely big in the lower bowl, and it's so close to the ice that you fit 19,000 in there. But the ceiling is so low, and the 11,000 fans, their voices just reverberate off the seat. I was there, Game 7 against the Bruins last year, and Game 5 against the Rangers last year, and it was the loudest place I'd ever been in my life. I mean, it sounded like you were standing next to a fighter jet the entire game. It was insane.
That's awesome. No, that's awesome. I know I've been to 2 games or 2 away games so far. Jimmy, we were supposed to come out to Colorado a couple years ago, and then COVID hit, and they were like, "Hey, no, we're ending the season." It's like, damn. But I've been to Nashville and Dallas, and Dallas is a fun little arena to go to. They really get into it. They really do. Nashville is Trashville, so I don't like the Stars either. But yeah. Let's move on here.
It's all hands on deck. I'm betting down the head. Everyone in the Western Conference can get it right now. That's where I'm at with the Colorado Avalanche.
I tried so hard. I asked. There was a group. Their podcast called Sound the Foghorn, and it was their Minnesota Wild fans and guys, and I tried so
lucky
hard
that they didn't come on tonight because it would just be 45 minutes of a virtual fist fight. No, not Minnesota.
Not Minnesota.
Not Minnesota. St. Louis. I like you. We talked before I realized, you're a St. Louis Blues fan.
Yeah.
But no, Minnesota, I still can't because that was what basically ended Duchesne. I hate Duchesne now, but that was what ended Duchesne's run in Colorado before he got traded and all that kind of stuff was Minnesota and Darcy Kemper. Funny enough.
But I mean, that trade led to y'all going on y'all's
It's good
run.
now. It's good now. But the way that Matt Duchesne went about it, it was off the heels of Carmelo too. So we lost our biggest Nugget star and our biggest Avalanche star all at once. We were in shambles. Pepsi Center was a ghost town at that point. That's why they had to rebrand it.
Yeah.
That's how it was like when Jeff Skinner left. I mean, he wanted out. And after he left, the Hurricanes go on a run. So trust me, I feel you. I feel you.
It was sort of that way when Petro, when the Blues didn't re-sign Petro. That one was kind of like damn.
It's a big mistake. Trust me.
Yeah.
And
to sign Krug.
Wish you would have with the way that he treated us as he's been playing at Vegas. That's been a handful.
Yeah, and to just make an emergency signing in Torrey Krug. No, wasn't a fun one. Let's talk about Edmonton and LA. This is a interesting series. Again, they played last year against each other. Went to 7. Edmonton ended up taking it. Edmonton won in overtime last night, but they were this close to going down 3-1, going back to LA. Yeah, back to LA tomorrow night. So what are your thoughts?
Back to Edmonton.
Back to Edmonton? Is it 2-3-2?
Edmonton's home, so they did 2 in Edmonton, 2 in LA, and then back to Canada.
Right. So back to Canada, back to Edmonton. What are you guys' thoughts on these ones? On this game, this series?
Korpisalo's good.
Yeah.
Korpisalo's keeping LA in it right now. I like LA as a team. I think that they were going to be tough no matter what. I'm really damn glad that they didn't get that second wild card spot. That would have been a nightmare. Yeah. I don't need my hands that full. I'm just fine with Seattle. Edmonton, I said it yesterday too. Like Leon Draisaitl, Evander Kane, prove that you're Connor McDavid's backup, because we know Philip Deneau is going to wash out Connor McDavid as much as he can. Get your secondary scoring the way that they have been. If you have subpar goaltending, which is what you did not have last year with Mike Smith, you should be able to. Last night kind of seems like a momentum shifter. You win again on home ice, possibly ended in 6, don't have to go to 7. But Los Angeles is dangerous. Both these teams, I would not looking forward for the possibility of seeing them down the line. Both LA and Edmonton, they look pretty dangerous, both of them.
Yeah, I think we talked about this last time. Is LA has a bunch of guys that have been there: Doughty, Kempe, Kopitar. I mean,
who was it that I saw? Go, you're fine.
And when you have those guys that have been there, done that, they're hard-nosed guys to play against. I like LA. I think this series goes 7 no matter what. Yeah, and you look at it, it's such a tight series. I mean, every game decided by a goal, right? Yeah. So everything's even right now. But yeah, I want to say give me LA in 7, but I can't even pick at this point. I don't know who's going to come out. It's going to be kind of whoever scores last wins. This whole series.
Yeah. So what I didn't realize, I completely forgot Kevin Fiala and Victor Arvidsson are out in LA. Those two guys are I mean, we've seen them quite a bit, in Nashville, or at least Nashville and Minnesota, over the years. And both those guys they're good. They're very two tough, the rough-nosed players that'll score you goals when you need them. And like a Nashville fan, anybody in the Central Division knows those two names very well. And they're guys who can tear you apart pretty easily. So you mute. There you go.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, no, I'm getting better at it. I'm trying. No, I think that those two guys, them being out, is the reason why LA is struggling as much. I think if they were healthy towards the end of the season, we would see the Kings in a different situation going into the playoffs. But their goaltending was a big question for me, and Korpisalo has kind of somewhat alleviated those worries. I mean, both teams are just scoring at will. It's going to be incredible to see if they can keep this pace up. But no, it's a dead ringer almost for the series that we had last season. That's the interesting part. I don't know how it's going to turn out this time. Most times when you get the rematch, it doesn't go the exact same way, but maybe this bucks the trend and we do get Edmonton in 7 and they go on to the next round and beat Vegas or Winnipeg. But right now, LA is scary. And if they are able to get Fiala or anybody else healthy, they're even scarier. Yeah.
Yeah. We talked about Toronto being that team, if they don't make it out of round 1, things exploding from the inside. I want to say, as much as Edmonton fans are probably going to hate hearing this, you see that happening in Edmonton too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that Ken Holland is gonna have to look at this team and be like, okay, what are we gonna do? Because something's gonna have to be changed. I think Derek Ryan right now is getting second line minutes. I mean, we talk about that first line. The first line is the best line in hockey.
Yeah.
But that's all you have.
Yeah.
And when you have that, you don't really have much on defense. but I mean, you're having to rely on two guys. I mean, granted, they are two of the top probably 5. We know McDavid's number 1, but I would put Draisaitl in the top, probably the top 5 players in the world right now.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have those two guys, you don't have anybody, but you don't have anybody else around them. They can only carry you so much, and throughout the playoffs, they're gonna lean on those two guys and shut them down. They'll double team both of them if they have to.
Right. Definitely. This will be a fun series to see. I imagine it's going to go 7. I don't see why it wouldn't or it doesn't go 7. Unless that, Edmonton can get his star power going a little bit more. Then
up until the last game, they hadn't trailed in regulation yet.
Edmonton.
Yeah.
They'll be a stingy team. The series is going to be fun to watch, to finish out, I guess I should say. All right. This will be a fun one too. Yeah, boo.
Boo.
Got the Dallas Stars and the Minnesota Wild. Another crazy game, and I didn't change the thing up top. Gosh dang it. Oh well, it's fine. Series is tied 2-2. It's not Minnesota leading 2-1 anymore. Pretty interesting series so far between these two teams. Lots of you had the Pavelski hit at the beginning of the series.
Beautiful.
We all agreed the other day that it was an absolutely clean hit, beautiful clean hit.
We can have that debate, but it wasn't the dirtiest hit I've seen.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on this one, Jimmy? Since you're the Central Division guy here too.
Just keep beating the crap out of each other. Just continue to pound on each other, make everyone hurt. Make it a physical grind to get through the series, because the Avalanche aren't having an easy time with like they were last year. So continue to wear each other down, because this is always the toughest round. I know the Western Conference Finals are supposed to be the toughest round, but these are the teams that you've seen enough, and you've seen enough over the years that they know exactly. The Stars have the Colorado Avalanche game plan ready to dust off. The Wild do the same thing. It's the division rivalries are different, even though it's a little bit not as intense as in football, but make sure that you continue to just hurt the other team as much as possible. And if Ryan Reeves wants to fight a couple of the Wild or a couple of the Stars, if Jamie Benn's going to continue to try and throw his body around, I'm all for that. Just make it the most physical series moving forward, and then hopefully you're a good test. Because I will say, last year the Blues were the best thing for the Avalanche in the second round. If they didn't have that series, I don't know if they continue on. So beat each other up, and then let's be ready for a 5-round fist fight in the next round. That's what I'm thinking about this series.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of it's how I'm feeling about the series on the other side of my bracket, right? You hope these teams, when your team's playing, you're kind of looking at that other game or other team on the other side of it. And you're like, okay, y'all beat each other up for 7 games. Go triple overtime if you have to every game. I don't care who wins. Just I want there to be carnage, and we've seen that in this series. But I mean, I think Dallas is going to pull it out. Ottinger just seems to be on another level.
They love Dallas. They love him on the radio broadcast. They're like, anything that gets past him has to be an act of God. Almost.
Right.
Yeah, and that's what you need to win in the playoffs. I mean, you need a goalie to get hot, and I'm not saying that he's just getting hot in the playoffs, but I mean, we see it. Or I think the stat was he was 19-1-3 after he had a loss in his next game. So I mean, you got to like that if you're Dallas.
Yeah,
I mean, you lose one, you got a guy that's going to get back up and get back in the game, get up on the saddle. I think that's what he said, is got to get back in the saddle when you lose. So I think they have the confidence. Minnesota seems to be kind of outmatched at times, but yeah, I mean, I like Dallas in this series right now. And this is going back to Dallas. So
yeah.
So yeah, I think Dallas finishes it off in probably 6.
Crazy thing about Dallas, they got Heiskanen, Robertson, and Ottinger all in the same draft.
Yeah.
Yep, all in like the first 39 picks.
Yeah, they built their team in one singular draft the way that teams look to build in like 4 or 5 years. That's how insane their scouting department. That's it. That's like a craps table run where you don't walk away from the table. Just keep throwing money down. He's gonna keep hitting.
Yeah, like I said, we talked about it the other day too. What me and Brandon did. We were talking about like our sleeper picks and stuff for the Central Division with the Blues PA announcer, and I said, I'm telling you, I think Dallas is going to be that. They're going to be tough, and they're going to be one who's going to give anybody in the Central Division a run for their money, and they usually do every other year. It's either Dallas, Minnesota, or Nashville that has like this constant rotation. Outside of Colorado, and you probably throw St. Louis into that rotation of things. But I feel like there's almost in the Central, there's going to be a 5-team rotation between St. Louis, Winnipeg, Dallas, Minnesota, and Nashville. That's just going to be like this constant like back and forth. This year, these teams are making it. This year, they're not. Who knows? Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong.
It's weird to be on the other side of that conversation where we're the big bad bully on the block. Like, you guys got to test yourselves against us.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like it better on this side or the other one. I like it better when we're the 8th seed beating Calgary. That's all I think of.
All right, let's go. One more to go, and it's the freaking Bruins of Boston.
Ooh.
This one I imagine is ending tomorrow night. Yeah.
It's amazing that it didn't end in 4 because if Bergeron didn't, granted now things have come out to where like, okay, yeah, maybe I'd play in that situation too. But if Bergeron doesn't get hurt in the 82nd game, I think this is 4 games. Bergeron needs to get healthy for Boston to go on a cup run like they want to. Yeah, you're the greatest regular season team of all time. Do you really want to be the 2017 Golden State Warriors where you beat the regular season record, but it doesn't mean a thing? Don't mean a thing if you ain't got that ring.
Right. So they actually play Wednesday night. They don't play till Wednesday. So they have tomorrow off to I guess make the trip back to Boston. So they'll play Wednesday night instead of tomorrow night. So we got to wait till Wednesday to see this one.
Thank God for Celtics basketball.
Right.
Yeah. Look,
go ahead.
I think with the way that injuries are piling up in Boston, I don't know. I mean, they're going to get it done tomorrow or Wednesday night whenever they play.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't. If they don't have Krejci, they don't have Bergeron. I mean, I just don't know how they get through Tampa or Toronto. I just don't.
Yeah.
They're on the harder side of the East for sure. No offense.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, it sucks to kind of come through that Atlantic right now. Those are all some really good teams. But I don't know. I think with those injuries, Tampa and Toronto have a little more firepower than they do. I think if Vasilevsky gets hot, you're looking at a team that, I mean, could put them out pretty quickly in the second round.
Yeah. David Krejci is already he's already out for tomorrow, and then Patrice Bergeron is day-to-day for Boston, and then Aaron Ekblad is day-to-day along with Anthony Duclair. It's day-to-day as well.
Ekblad is hurt all the time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure Ekblad's out for the rest of the series.
Yeah, this says day-to-day as of April 23rd, so
yeah,
I might not be updated enough, but yeah. All right. Any more thoughts on any series?
I mean, Boston in 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I don't.
They're gonna get some rest before their tough ass matchup next round.
I don't think Florida can pull out 2 in the Garden.
No, it's gonna be tough. Not two of the 3. So we'll pull these off. New Jersey, by the way, has tied the series. So it's 2-2 with a 3-1 win over the New York Rangers tonight. We might have jinxed the New York Rangers.
We're about to see 2-2 because the other series is 4-1.
Oh yeah, 4-1 Tampa Bay over Toronto too. So there'll be another one that's gonna go. It's gonna go 2-2.
Half off its importance tomorrow for Toronto's loss. Come here and cry in your donuts, eh?
You heard it right here.
Tim and
Let's all commiserate together, eh?
Where's those questions I had? Let me play this little thingy that I made. Bam. There's no sound to it. It's just a cool little thing. I thought it was cool. Yeah. I already answered one of the questions. Is Boston finishes out tomorrow? It's just quick yes or no. Quick yes or no's.
Got it.
Simple. So that's the first question: does Boston finish the series tomorrow or Wednesday night? I guess.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Simple as that. What about Carolina? Does Carolina do the same?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Easy enough. What about the Knights? Do the Knights have enough to finish off the not finish off? I guess it is finish off the Jets.
No.
No.
All right. I like this. These are fun. It's actually they play tonight, so we'll find out tonight what happens between those two teams. And then the last one I had is again something we talked about. I didn't realize we were going to jump into those like depths of conversation with that. But does Edmonton and LA go 7?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I you guys answered all of them for me too. That every single one that you guys said, that's immediately the first thing that came to my head every single time.
Bad content.
We did a mock NFL draft on our podcast last week, and I think like the first 5 picks, we all had the same first 5 picks, and I was like,
perfect. So no argument, no dissension. Great, let's move on. Thank you.
Yeah, I was like,
this
I think I said
45-minute segment is now going to be 15 minutes, and I'm going to have to pull something out of my ass. Isn't it great being an independent podcaster where you don't have a producer yelling in your ear? Talk about this. Talk about this.
Talk about this. Yeah.
Yeah, we got 2 interns, and I'm like, hey, make sure you make it look good. And she texted me today, and she was like, I lost the list, and I was like, great.
It happens.
You made me work for that one.
Go back and listen to it.
If I had a producer, if I had a producer, I don't know if I can salvage this one. You guys are gonna have to just live with the consequences.
My plan for that whole hot or quick shot thing was to get actually questions from like people watching the shows, but it didn't quite work.
Drop us some questions, people.
Oh, yeah. So I think I put some out there twice. I need to just probably do it more next time then. So
well, now we have to pay for. Maybe we could write that off as like a VSN expense, paying for Twitter, because everybody apparently it works. Even Barstool bought all their employees Twitter Blue. So
the Twitter Blue thing, I don't know. I haven't.
Yeah, VSN. Come on now.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
You gotta spend money and make money.
Expense. You're right. You build it, they'll come, right?
Something like
That's
that.
what you hope
Something
for.
like that. Yeah, that's what the Romans thought, at least.
Yeah,
could be wrong. Any more thoughts before we close things out tonight?
Go ahead, go.
Let's go Canes.
I can't believe I just said that. Wow. Go Kraken.
That's okay.
Kraken. That's all right. So again, if we'll throw you guys' stuff in. So make sure you go listen to Jimmy over at Far End of the Bench every Wednesday, sometimes Thursdays, mostly Thursdays. You'll catch those instant reaction shows every once in a while too. And then Jared, down at the bottom, you can hear the Boneyard Podcast.
Yeah, you can hear the Boneyard Podcast. If you're new to college sports, want to get into a college team, and you're like, who do I need to cheer for? I don't have anybody. I don't know anybody. I don't watch college sports. If you want to be an East Carolina fan, I'm your guy. All right, so check us out at the Boneyard Podcast, the premier podcast of Pirate Nation. Check us out.
There you go.
That's
like it.
That's a
like
deep cut. I consider myself a college football fan. That's a deep cut.
Hey, man. I mean,
not as deep of a cut as them being the antagonist at the beginning of We Are Marshall, but that's another story.
Hey, look, we play Marshall this year. Marshall comes into Dowdy this year, and we always say that's a rivalry game that we love to play. It's a rivalry built off of love. Of course, the plane was leaving East Carolina when it went down. So, we are Marshall. But yeah, check us out. Yeah. I promise you, it's not all just ECU content. There's a lot of bullshit in there. And it's pretty good content. I mean, you'll enjoy it. I promise.
Yeah. All right. There you go. So make sure you head over, watch to both of those shows there. And was going to plan the next one for Thursday, but we'll definitely get overshadowed by the NFL draft. So that's not going to happen. So
I mean,
we'll figure it out. We'll figure out when the next one's going to be. Make sure you, you know what to do. Go check out the last video. Check out this one. Hit you know what to do. You've been on YouTube
Subscribe.
long enough. Do what you need to do.
Hit that button. It's somewhere down here.
It's actually in the corner on the video that hopefully somebody's watching right now. So hit that little button. I got three.
I'm kidding. I'm joking.
I sent it to some people.
You gotta get that. You gotta understand that.
I know. I got you. I don't have anything else. Go. If you haven't got a playoff game yet or haven't went to one, go use code VSN. Go get $20 off at SeatGeek. So that way you can get yourself some Stanley Cup playoff experience. And then, that's it. That's all I got. Anything else? That's it? Nothing?
Nope.
All right. Thanks for coming on, guys. I appreciate it. This was a fun time.
Love it. Yeah, anytime.
All right.
As long as I don't have a baby.
Right. Yeah. Good luck. Hopefully everything works out. Hopefully everything's okay. And definitely let us know.
Congratulations and good luck.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All righty. Thanks everybody for watching. Appreciate it.
Suck it, Borelli.